All right. I think we're back with the live stream. I think we're good. Let me just check the sound and everything here. The only weirdness is I'm coming out of the left side and the left speaker only, but that's kind of default mono. Tried to adjust the settings, but I couldn't get it to change. I think it's all right. All right. So just setting up for the live stream, checking everything. What's up, guys? Feel free to chat. Let me know you're here. I don't think there's anybody yet. We just started. Looks like we may be getting a bounce. Hold off and talk about it once more people get in here. See what we're looking at. All right, looks like the stream's going good. I don't sound like a chipmunk this time, like the last one too. All right. Can I pause the stream? Let me see what happens if I do this. Oh, that makes it go to black screen? Is that what happens? Yeah, okay. We don't want black screen. But if I'm doing like personal information things, I can always... Wait, what happened to it? We want to add back that. There it is. Okay. Got it. All right. So the chat is here. There we go. What's up, Thighs? What's up, Pete? You're just in time for... Oh, the bank rate. Usually this time I don't look at Forex very much until London Open. But yeah, I got to check on the news, see what's coming up today. All right, cool. So, all right, there's 7 people in here now. It's starting to pick up. Just getting it going. McAllister, what's up? Just kind of hanging out, doing this for fun. I haven't talked to a lot of my old subscribers in a while. See what's up. Just give a minute for more people to come in. I don't sound like a chipmunk this time. If you were at the last one, I figured out what it was. It was the bit rate was at 48 on one and 44.1 on the other. So you get the sample rate. It was off. As soon as I heard it back, I realized, oh, I know what that is. Let me grab a cup of coffee, hang out for a while. What's up, guys? I actually got to make a fresh pot. I'm not drinking that old coffee from 3 hours ago, man. Life is too short for bad coffee. Yeah, your voice isn't pitched up anymore. Yeah, I didn't have, I wasn't castrated. It was a not Bitcoin, but bit rate conversion, which is funny. It sounds like I'm talking about Bitcoin. I'm not. The sample rate. So my converter. You thought so. You should have told me. As soon as I heard it back, and I noticed, like, I know that sound, that like third or fourth, yeah, exactly. 44.1 and 48 was a mismatch between the program setup and my converter that's going to my computer. It was the mismatch. Made me sound like I was I had a recent operation or something. No, I'm good now. All right, let me make this fresh coffee because that's how we got to do it. All right. Coffee's a brewing. What's up, guys? Hell yeah, Ganondorf. Ganondorf. Oh, yeah. Bitcoin's going to be worth $1 million in a few years. Unless it completely fails. It's one or the other. It ain't going to stay here, that's for sure. You either take your money times 100 or you lose 80%. Or you make 1,000%. That's the long-term outlook, right? But I've been hearing your voice for well over 7 years, bro. Yep. Terry do, man. Terry don't. 7 years. Yeah, I first started on Skype, like streaming on Skype in 2008. Vincent, what's up? Cool. A lot of the same people are familiar people are back right away. Hey. The fresh coffees are brewing. So who bought the dip? Anybody? Let's take a look. What's going on? Was it time to buy a dip? Is it ever wrong to buy a dip? It depends on your strategy. I have a few different, which is basically short term, medium term, and then the long term. It's kind of a combination of acquiring low when possible, taking profits on up moves, and it's not just, price is tanking, so I'm going to set a buy order. I like to see, my normal way of looking at things. I mean, the stuff that, again, you guys have been with me forever. You see what's going on here with the strength and the accumulation. We'll get into more analysis. But basically, my strategy is, twofold, where you have, buying at points where my analysis tells me to, which I always did this. People are a little smarter now, buying on dips. And all that kind of stuff, not chasing price, all the stuff I always talk about. Look for down moves and strength on high volumes to tell you it's time to move up. People are starting to get that. It's a little more common knowledge, So I'm still doing my thing. But it's a matter of getting in, basically where I normally do, in the ways similar to I normally do. And you guys know, taking some profit. But if I'm getting in at a good low price after a dip, what's a good low price now? 10, 8, 9, with our recent range, then I typically will leave some of that on. So I'm sort of acquiring, and if it dips and dips, I'm still doing day trading, but I'm also, when I get nice low prices, I want to leave some of that on. So over time, that's going to build up as a good amount of Bitcoin gathered at good low prices. If and when the day comes that it shoots up to 30, 100,000, 500,000, a million in a few years, perhaps, it's not crazy. It's just facts about how markets work and the potential. I want to be in there. I want to have acquired a good amount at good low prices. But in the meantime, taking some profit on day trades. So that's how I'm going about it. Let's see what you guys are saying. Ooh, the coffee's ready. Good voice for radio. Thanks. I have an old symmetric voice processor, analog piece of gear, compression, noise gate, de-esser, EQ. If I turn it off, I sound completely different. No. My voice is really high and weak, if I hit bypass. No, it's not. Long time no see, Gustavo. This is a good time for Bitcoin. Nothing like Forex. Huh? Forex has been doing better. The charts have been trending and better than conditions are always improving or getting worse, and it got a little better. We had some slow periods over the last year. Are you going to teach Bitcoin and Forex separately? I'm thinking about what to do. I definitely like doing this and all that. Right now, I'm just kind of showing up, streaming for fun, for free. But yeah, I'm thinking about what I'm going to do. And my mainly is trading London Open. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's 3 a.m. for me, so it's not, right now it's optional because I don't have to show up for subscribers. But yeah, I'm a night guy anyway, so I often am. But I don't have to, that sort of thing. Kind of check in and see if it's worth it. But I may do a couple, I don't know, if I do the subscribed sessions again, I may do like at this time of night to really look at both Forex and the cryptocurrencies or whatever you guys want to look at, and then also maybe 1 hour at this time of day and then another hour at London Open again to look at both. But that might be a little more focused on Forex, obviously, because we're talking about potential setups and do analysis going into London session. So that's what I'm thinking. That kind of works around when I want to be on, and it gives a couple of options for people if they want to do like this time of night or London Open, or both. Does that make sense? I don't know. You guys let me know what makes sense. But that's kind of works around because, I have a wife and kid, and I do the dinner time and all that. And around 10 o'clock at night, which is about 40 minutes ago, they're out. They go to sleep early. My 5-year-old, she goes to sleep at like 8. But usually by like about 40 minutes ago, which is 10 p.m. New York time, I'm on it. I mean, I'm always checking my phone. I'm not a phone zombie, but you don't really need a computer. But that's when I really focus on what I'm doing is this time of night. So I could do this and then also an hour at this time and then an hour at London Open. Something like that. So 2 hours a day, maybe like 4 days a week. Coffee beeps. I got to go get it. How do I get in on your phone? Doing Forex analysis live stream. Yeah, well, this free streams, the deal. You can sign up at the website. And I'll get a sign up going on there if it becomes an official thing, and I'll let you guys know. Bitcoin is more active at night. It's the thing is with Bitcoin, you never know when things are going to pick up. I mean, you can have a Saturday. I saw Saturday night for a few hours. If you look back, you had some moves. Again, with the kind of twofold strategy, I'm just keeping an eye on it. When it dips, of course, I'm looking to see if buyers come in, and who knows when some of these things could be, and it also could start moving up and hitting some profits at really any time. Who knows? It's not so connected to all the other kind of news that we normally follow with Forex. It's more connected to Bitcoin news itself and all that. It's a different sort of beast in a way, although the regular universal laws of markets apply just like it does to everything else. So, and like you said, a lot of you guys have been with me for a while. Bitcoin didn't exist back when we started this stuff, right? And then you're looking at these charts. It's a new thing. It's a different thing. It's a decentralized thing. And what do we see? It's the same stuff. Nothing changes. So, the story right off the bat is the confidence and the demand that came in at these 2 points tells us that we finally are in like a real market that's not a bubble. This would have been the crash for real. This would have been a crash, but buyers stepped in. This confidence, it makes it real. The demand for it makes it real. But, also in real life, the more and more there's demand for Bitcoin to be used for business purposes and everything else. I mean, there's only a finite amount of coins. So, you know, again, the idea of $1 million a coin in, I don't know, 5 years, whatever, it's not some fantasy thing. I wasn't looking for that. I wasn't thinking about that. But when I started to understand it, I'm like, okay, obviously it's going to have to be. I mean, in 20 years, it could be $1 trillion a coin. There's a finite amount of them. And if that becomes a global, universal form of currency, it would kind of have to be. And everybody would own 0.0000001 Bitcoin, the average person. And you can do your and it's designed to do transactions in that small amount. It's all been thought out. So it's amazing. Let me get my coffee here. It's kind of, in a way, it's funny because it's kind of what we always, in the back of our mind, kind of knew what a currency is supposed to be, without intervention from banks and all kinds of bullshit. Fake interest rates and printing money and devaluing things on purpose and all kinds of fucking BS, man. This is not commerce. This is a joke. Bitcoin is the real deal. This stuff is the real deal. Whatever coin, it's technology, is obviously the way to go to do commerce, around the world. It's about time. So it only goes up in value because you can't just keep printing them. You can't devalue Bitcoin. It's impossible. Imagine, the U.S. didn't print dollars for the last 10 years. Fiat currency is garbage, yeah. It's just math. It's just facts. It's not even an opinion. It's outdated. It's a joke. And people are too informed now to stand for it. Enough is enough. Give me a break, man. Federal Reserve, these global banks, give me a break. We've had enough. But, reality, as more and more businesses start using Bitcoin, the value is going to go up because there's only so much available. So as demand goes up, the value goes up. And $1 million of Bitcoin makes perfect sense in a few years, whatever it is. So again, everybody do what you're comfortable with. But like I said, for me, I like day trading it, which means buying and selling at points normally like I trade. And then also on top of that, holding it, particularly when I buy low, and acquiring at low prices for those days I expect to come where it shoots up, when this stuff happens again. It's not over to me. It's just the beginning. We could easily go to 40,000 within 6 months. Easily. But we'll see. I mean, the thing to look out for is real life companies starting to adopt Bitcoin. And the fact that they may be out there talking shit about it, they probably just want to drop the price so they can buy it up. They know what's going on. If a banker is talking shit about Bitcoin, he's just trying to get the price down. Watch him buy it. Everybody knows what's happening. Come on now. Oh, fresh hot coffee. It's the love of my life. So what's up, guys? Are you going to acquire Bitcoin and day trade them at the same time? Yes. What do you hold? What do you sell? The lower that I tend to get in, like we just had a dip now, the dip that we had, last week. The thing is, I want to build up positions that are lower and hold them over time. But at the same time, on up moves, take some bit of profit. This echo, let me turn this down. So very simply, that's the strategy. We could talk more about some of the details of it. But if it's really something you believe in, which I do, It's just a common sense to try to do that and build it up at a low price. If we have, let's say, another leg down, which I don't think is going to happen, we may test here, who knows, and we may go slightly below and do a fake break, right? But if we really have another leg down, I will be looking to buy and day trade it down there. Some of the positions that I'm holding from up here, I can live with that. Every time I enter a position, I understand that. And I could trade, if we're down here for a while, and trade, intraday trades, and what I end up acquiring down here would be also held for a while. So if we make it back to the high, I have acquired low as much as I can. And I do expect this to double, to go to 40,000, who knows, sometimes, and all that. So that's the idea. The lower you get it. And those are bits and taking little bits over time and closing the day trade and saying, I'm going to leave on some of that because I bought it so low that I like that position for a longer term. Are you going to... So you could be net profit at 0 and still be negative on your long-term holdings. Yeah, long-term could fluctuate, and that's really fine. I'm looking for, I don't know if it's going to be in 6 months, a year, 2 years, I don't know, but the day will come, multiple days will come, where my long-term stuff will pay off. I believe that. So I'm okay with that. But again, it's really a fraction of a lot of these trades that I leave on, a small amount. So I'm closing a little less than I originally bought. So I still have, over time acquired at a low price, those little bits. I'm still fine-tuning it, but, to me, that's the most logical thing to do. I haven't been doing that long, so I'm still fine-tuning it. But to me, that's just very logical. Yeah, drop a course on it and I'll buy it. Oh, maybe I will. Yeah, at this point I could do maybe a sort of a couple hours of an explanation of someone coming from Forex kind of point of view, which is mainly what I've been doing, and the differences and how to open an account, and some of the setups that are of course similar, but some of the differences as well. Bitcoin takes about half the battle out because you only really buy. Yeah, I know you can short it if you're buying something else against it or whatever, technically, but yeah, basically, yeah, the average person is going to, step one, start acquiring it cheap. That's step one to your trading Bitcoin, and then take it from there. Again, the long-term and the short-term strategies combined, I think, is the best idea. Do you think this wave 2 of a 5-wave move, you mean down waves? Or up? I'm not sure fractally which waves you're talking about. Because, a 5-wave down would be, bringing this shit down really low. Or it could be basically what we're looking at is a 2-1 ABC sort of retracement that already recurred and going up. Volume, of course, is a big part of predicting which it is. But 5-wave down, no, I don't believe so. Facts you can see just as much as me is all the demand that came in here. It's kind of this again. Typically, these become the low for a while, and it was just a lot of buying. 10 to a lot of people is a good deal. They're going to buy at 10. If at some point it comes down here and we don't see that activity come in, this is a daily chart, so if you're looking at a little smaller time frames in real time, and you're also looking at order book and things like that, and seeing the type of demand that may be coming in, I'm expecting that it would hold. And again, because of mainly this, you can see this and how it revisited to this point. Now, it doesn't have to repeat this pattern exactly, but this is sort of a typical thing. If you notice, we're here right now on the pattern again. We're there, right? That is that. And basically what I mean is the large buying, higher prices that attracted some sellers, which is 13, and we talked about that the last stream, that 13 is going to be a tough nut to crack, and we're not going to get through it, right? I called that right on the money. It was easy. We saw why. It's just facts. So, some of my trades that were bought through here, I was looking at 2.7, 2.8, and get out, you know, a little before 13 if it didn't quite get hit, because that tends to happen. But we saw that, as a matter of fact. Now that is like this, right, on this pattern. So it hits a point where there is some increase in selling. Even though there was a lot of demand here, it doesn't mean that higher prices aren't going to still attract sellers, because that's what markets do. They normally don't move like this, right? They zigzag around. And the higher prices, you know, with 13 just showing a wall of supply, it's just common sense that buyers through here are going to take some profit. The selling is going to increase in this area. But again, if you look at the volume of that, you know, it's nothing compared to the amount of buying that came in here. So going forward, okay, so we came down off of that, which any smart buyer understands. We're not looking to try to buy up here into 13 when there was a wall of supply there. Again, we saw that last live stream. It's a fact. There still is a decent wall at 13. We'll look at that. And we may be in this range for a while. But the point is, we came down off of that. We're here in this pattern right here. Oh, sorry, right here on that second dip. And again, if you notice the volume increase, see? The volume increase here at a lower price, and it may cause, we can get in smaller time frames and look, but I do like the daily chart more than in Forex, in Bitcoin. And you see the volume increase again in this area, and here a bullish reaction beginning. Now look here. There it is, the volume increase. And again, we're right here. Now it doesn't have to continue to mirror it, but it's the same story so far. So, right, if you project off of that, again, as things develop and we look at volume and facts, I mean, there could be things telling me I don't expect that to happen. It may be mirroring the pattern, but you know, if we're hitting a lot of supply sooner, we may go lower, right? So, but at this point, if it continues to mirror that, right, we're looking at this, which is basically a run above the initial high. It's a new high ground. Trying to get that to stick. Okay. There we go. So, again, if we're here, right, that's why I do that test of new highs. And again, here, it would be a test of new highs here. Now, that's just mirroring the pattern, and that's probably the most likely thing to happen. But again, now let's acquire a little more detail. If you're looking at the order book on Bitcoin, we're building up a bit of a wall at 11. Oh, okay. And let's look at 13, because that's the mother lode. There it is. And we pretty much hit 13 before, and it's still there. So we didn't take out these sell orders. There's a lot of profit taking planned at 13. It is what it is right now. I think what's going to help us when you can mark my words on this. Could be wrong. This makes sense. When we finally do get through 13, it's going to be on news that Bitcoin is being used by XYZ, and large amounts of Bitcoin are going to be needed for business transacting. That's likely going to break it through at this point. We need some sort of sentiment that's going to cause it, and simple demand is going to do that. That's one way. You can't stop it. There's just too much demand. But for now, the 13 is a wall. Another way to get through it is if we just keep bumping up against it in a range, and we end up seeing the supply sort of dry up, and over time, as it's bumping into 13. You know, those sell orders, those profit takers are going to start getting out, and it's sort of going to clear the way. It's like, you know, mow the lawn, clear the way, clear a path through 13. If enough of those sellers could be sell orders, and profit takers could be triggered at that point. So, you know, a perfect storm would be a combination of 13 supply being eaten up, dried up, and some good news, and we just fly right through it. Again, these are, you know, some smart buyers here, confident and holders, and they're likely not, a good portion of them are not looking to get out of 13. I mean, if you look at the amount of activity that came off of it again, so, you know, they're looking for higher stuff. And, you know, once we can not be afraid of 13, I think we'll be good. So a combination of eating up the supply and or really good news that, you know, Bitcoin is having more demand, and it's just fact demand is happening. It'll bring it up. I do place a little set buy order there. This is my play account for streaming, and I kind of have a little looser with this account, but the idea is twofold. Like I said, I need to get a real charting software. We can take a look at Forex too. Let me see what you guys may be saying there. Oh, okay, nothing. How many people we have? 24. What's up, guys? Welcome to the stream. We're hanging out, talking, looking. Comments, questions. Feel free, participate. Let me open up my MT4 on here. See what's going on in the Forex. Although I usually don't take any trades this time of day, but we can take a look and see what might be headed to for London. Again, what I'm thinking about doing, you guys let me know if this kind of... Oh, you gonna make me do this? What are we doing? No. As far as me doing this on a regular basis and being able to sign up to the website, I may be doing 2 hours a night of live session, but spread it out. So one is about this time of night, actually starting an hour ago, and the other is at London Open. This one will be a little more focused on the cryptocurrencies, and then obviously London Open, we're more focused on Forex, but both sessions will look at both. I want the Pepperstone new demo account. All right, that's fine. Yes, I agree. My email is are we good? Oh, the phone number is, I guess we need a country code. New York. Oh, there. No? What did I do? No dash? There we go. Yeah, I love, give me the newsletters. I want it. Did that work? I don't think it did. What happened? I just got Pepperstone on here. I don't know why that would even make me go through this again. No, I'm getting weirdness. Back to the chat for a second. Maybe you guys could tell me what the hell I did wrong there. I've only been doing this forever, and I still have problems getting my MT4 demo. Let me just back up. Drinking coffee. All right, coffee drinkers unite. Are you sure? Yeah, as soon as I get to it, I'll look. What time do you have these live sessions? Again, an hour ago. I may do an hour, starting an hour ago, 10 p.m. New York time, and then a second hour at London Open. Maybe like 4 nights a week. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm not using Admiral Markets. It's just the MT4 that I got from their site, and they had MT4 for Mac, but I can put in other brokers. And I had Pepperstone. I don't know why it's making me do this again, but figure that out in a second. Pete, you are my trading mentor. Would you please look at the yen pairs? Yeah, I know there's an interest rate decision, which I don't tend to predict. I just tend to stay away from, let it happen, and then back to repetition for the setups. But we're definitely going to look at Forex as soon as I get this open. Callion, cool. Don't Forex day trades last from London Open to New York close? Will you not continue the live session into New York like you did? Well, there's not an exact, it's not really based on time of day that I get out of trades that I get in. If I get into a trade the first couple hours of, London Open, it's more about targets and a plan and an exit plan. It could happen in an hour. It could happen in a day. And I also have sort of if I don't get to my targets by the end of the day, how to deal with it. So basically, who knows when targets can be hit. So I do have an exit plan, and I always explain that before I end the session. It's like one of the main things I do is, okay, this is what I'm looking to do to get out of this trade, that sort of thing. But what I really want to focus on is that, I let you know what I'm seeing if you value my advice, but it's really up to you to make your decisions with things. And, if there's a buy situation or there's anything going on, I'll always point it out and all that. But I don't want to so much, say do this and do that. I just want to give you good information so you can you do what's best for you. No, I'm not entry level for the Bitcoin buy. No, I'm just sort of getting the live stream going and hanging out, doing some analysis, and right now trying to get the Forex up because I know you guys want to see that too. Do some analysis. Maybe I should try a different one here. Demo 2, I don't know. This was so easy the first time I did it, and now it's giving me some BS. Why is it not working? Did it work that time? Yeah, it worked. Demo 2. All right, got it. So you can get if you get an MT4, I'm using Mac, you can get an MT4 for Mac from, like, for example, Admiral Markets. But whatever you're using MT4, you can go, type in your broker of choice, so you don't have to re-download a new MT4. Having said that, the price feeds, the price ticks on cryptocurrencies, at least from some brokers, is not accurate to the real market. Therefore, you don't have a good volume feed. You don't have a good price feed. And the idea of a Forex broker offering cryptocurrency prices is a joke in itself, if you think about it. The whole point is that there is no middleman, right? But apparently the brokers want in on this, and they're giving you some smoothed out BS price movement. And the first time I looked at, because I know a lot of you are using MT4, and now there may be some sort of pure price feed that you can get on MT4, and ideally that's what I want. If I can get Coinbase gdax prices on MT4, I'm good, because then I know, and the accurate volume information. But yeah, don't do that. Like I got Pepperstone going, oh, okay, great. It's going to have, and it's a good volume feed from Pepperstone. But if you look at the cryptos, it's just absolutely. And the first time I looked at it, I said, "Wow, this is disappointing. I don't think I'll be trading this." Little did I know this was broker feed prices for Bitcoin, and it's bullshit. All right, and they don't give you real volume, so that's going to be a problem. Anyway, let me just check the chat now that I got this going. Like some bees, huh? Like some, I don't know. What does that mean? My coffee is losing optimal temperature. I'll have to top it off. All right. So if you're just joining the chat, what's up? You can participate. It's all good. We're just hanging out and doing some analysis. I've been trading a long time. Most of you guys know me. Well, let's take a look at where we are with things. All right, so let's take a look at the Forex stuff. Now, somebody asked about UJ, I think it was. Let me check that. What was that? Oh, well, there's the interest rate decision coming out. Okay. Yeah, okay. Yen pairs. Okay. Yeah. Let me see what time that's going to be. Forex Factory. Forex Factory. Oh, it already happened. Okay. For me, that was about 45 minutes ago. There's going to be a press conference in a few hours, but the rate is unchanged. Okay. That's going to tend to create less volatility, but rate decisions are, again, as I say, that's why I'm not like giving you in the rate decision, I'm looking for this and that. Again, like I say, I'm looking for repetition and setups at a regular sort of day. When it comes to interest rates or non-farm Fridays and stuff, I just avoid that. Look for my, treat that as the background going forward and look for my repetition setups. But let's see now that we've passed it, what do we have? So unchanged, nothing crazy. You look at the past numbers, it's all been sitting here. Okay, fine. Negative 1%, 10%. Let's go to the chart on the ends. There's the activity of the rate statement. And we could put it into context of where we are. This is UJ. Let me take a look at some of the others too. And we get basically a storyline with the yens and see what this means and what's going to happen going forward. Let's just sort of get our perspective on the yens again. The EJ, you can see it hasn't gone into new ground on the daily chart. It's barely, but you'd have to say it's an uptrend with a higher high, higher low. There's some momentum to the upside, but this recent move did not go to higher ground. We can take a look at that closer, but on the pound, it did. Pound versus the yen, it did. So the pound is a little stronger versus the yen. And this is unless there's high volume weakness coming in, it's a good, healthy uptrend. You have a fib retracement here, which is also basically, give or take, the previous resistance turn support, which pretty much exactly. Those are always good signs and trends, right? I'm sure a lot of you who know my analysis, you have simple stuff going on there, which you've probably seen. This is textbook stuff, the repetition. And you have a bit of strength, a side of strength there at that point. So that's sort of a no-brainer there. And a good healthy trend. And now continuing into new high ground. Really what would make you say, okay, I no longer want to buy and maybe it's coming down would be weakness in higher prices, profit taking. Particularly here you see low volume. Now it is, hours before an interest rate decision, which may give you a sort of waiting time for the market. But you can see that it really accepted higher prices with no issue of profit taking on this trend. There's a lot of buying through here even to push it through into new high ground. There was some selling that came in here, just that by the healthy amount of volume. But you see the results is pretty aggressive markup style buying, not waiting for down moves to buy into. And then, the selling the supply that was here, which is typically at a resistance, a new high ground, give you fake breakouts. That was blown through with a lot of buying, and then we're up here now, and we sort of were in the clear with new high ground, not hitting weakness, not hitting selling. So this is the key to it still being a good trend, rather than this selling maybe overwhelming it and giving you weakness. So in the context of being in a good trend, this is an opportunity to buy. Now, EJ is sort of floundering with its trend. UJ is not in an uptrend. It's more of a range. So going forward now, the outcome of this down move is going to tell you what to expect going forward. Just because something moved down doesn't mean it's bearish, right? We know that. Lower prices can attract buyers in large amounts. And of course, every trend has its retracements, right? You look at the big picture. This was not much of a down move. UJ, you look at the big picture. Not much of a crazy move here for an interest rate decision. It was unchanged. Nothing crazy. So let's get in there and see some details. Now, the lowest prices showing the highest volume is the sign of buying into the sell-off. So there was a sell-off initially. As I say on news and these bigger moves, it's not about the initial move, it's about the reaction. So if lower prices didn't attract buyers, this candle would have likely closed near the low. Volume wouldn't be as high because there wouldn't be buyers coming in, but it'd still be high volume. But it would be high volume leading to lower prices and no issue with being stopped and candles closing up right on high volume and not being able to continue. You guys know that stuff. So this is showing buying into the initial sell-off. Okay, so there's, this is buying, so it's a weakness on the yen because we're looking at the U.S. dollar versus the yen. So if we're seeing strength, we're talking about weakness on the yen. If you look at the yen itself, or sort of the other way around because we're pound yen, dollar yen, you would see initially there's strength and buying of the yen on the news that then got sold into, making the yen weak from overwhelming supply as a reaction. And so we're seeing that, of course, in the inverse with the dollar versus the yen. That is initially a sell-off and then buying and showing weak yen. Now, going forward, right, we know that the buyers bought into this. The next thing is we're testing for sellers, right? And if the sellers aren't showing up, these buyers are in a position to start marking it up rather than waiting to accumulate because there's really no sellers to give them lower prices. And so far, that's what we're seeing. You got to take it with a grain of salt this time of day because you're not going to get, high volume stuff. This was an interest rate decision. This is normally down here, right? It's a dead time of day. But you can still look at the details of what these higher prices are doing as far as perhaps bringing sellers, and there's really nothing going on, right? The high prices are being accepted. So buyers are waiting for low prices to accumulate. And if the selling is just not there, it's likely going to switch into markup style entry instead of waiting for lower prices, right? Same stuff I talk about forever. So let me check the chat. Hopefully that's helpful. Any other questions on that? What's up, guys? Just listening? Okay. Well, how many people in here? 20. Oops, what did I just click? Go back. Oh, gosh. Live stream offline. Oh, what are you doing? I just need the chat back. What am I watching my own live stream now? Go back to the chat. Oh, I got to go to my page. What's up, guys? If you're just joining, we're looking at Forex. We're looking at cryptos. We're talking about facts with a little speculation. Put it that way, right? How do I get to the chat? Oh, Creator Studio. They keep moving everything around on YouTube. Every year or two, everything gets moved. Okay, so I'm here? No. Give me the chat, damn you. Community? No. Gosh. Live streaming? Yeah, live streaming. Okay. There's the chat. No, don't show these tips. Same old stuff. You're in your... Yep. Markets are what markets are. If something new pops up, you apply the same old thing, and whatever the differences are, understand that. But the similarities are going to be the driving force of everything. What we already know. But again, just to show, like, if you look at the volume on Bitcoin, and it's our typical stuff. We know it's right when we see it. If you look at MT4, I don't know what these brokers are doing. Well, I kind of do. This just has to be they're giving you some bullshit feed. Where am I show? And why they can't give real volume, I don't know. But it's probably tick volume based on the bullshit that they're offering. Again, here's the 1 hour chart. Or the daily chart. Yeah, okay. Not horrible, but you get into the smaller time frames. Right? The 5 minute is the detailed stuff. And you see, this is just not right. That is not correct. This should be higher. I mean, I know that. This is the last dip before the run up. Look at this. So having a broker to trade Bitcoin completely defeats the purpose. It's like buying a car and going slower than if you were to walk. It's just, why would you do all that? Just walk. All right, strange analogy, but it makes no sense. It defeats the whole purpose. This is wrong. This is just wrong. And again, this 5-minute volume barely stands out. It's not even higher than really some of this other stuff. And then you go to the real volume on 5-minute chart, same thing. This, quite a difference. Buying into the down move there. So you can go off of MT4, and if anyone knows a way to have that on MT4, to have a pure, proper feed and proper volume, I wouldn't mind having it because I do like MT4. But are we still streaming? What's going on? Are we good? My echo is gone. All right, I think we're good. All right. So back to some of the questions. So that answers it. We were talking about the yen, and look at the analysis for that. Here's AJ. And in this case, again, here's the initial move on the interest rate decision, and we are a bit lower now. So on this stuff, it's all about seeing the reaction, and there's time, before London Open and stuff. Just making sure we're good here. We're still streaming. Okay. What would be nice is if, again, this time of day, I'm typically not getting into trades. I'm not worried about it. But if this were to test here and maybe do a fake break, and the point is to see strength again here. But we didn't see much weakness show up, so we could very easily just move up off of this, particularly on the pound, because it's already in an uptrend. Buying came in, which is AKA yen weakness after the interest rate decision. So it's a good combination of pound has been strong and yen is saying it's weak since the rate decision. Particularly as you get into London Open, there may be a setup in that direction. And also to see this close bullish on a 1 hour chart is, confirmation of strength, which is in 40 minutes will close. We're good on the stream. Okay, good. What's up, Will? Let me add my oh, you know what? What was it that I was using before? I think, Will, you actually recommended it. Jeez. What was it? Saturday. When did we do this? Friday? What was it called? You guys can see all my history. What was the name of that site you had recommended there, Will? There was something a little weird because the prices were not matching up with the gdax, and I'm not sure what exactly it was giving me. But you may know what I should have been doing. Coiningy, yeah, that. Coinigy. What am I doing? Exchanges. Oh, okay, this is different. Where's Coinbase? Is it Coinbase? No, I don't see that. Is there? Gee, maybe all over the place, right? What am I looking at? Trading platform. How do I get? Do I have to log in? I am not a robot. Ah, success. First of all, why is it dollar Bitcoin instead of Bitcoin dollar? Okay, where's the price? Okay, now it's giving me the right rate. Okay. Oh, 10,772, 10,77, all right. And 10,772, okay. I think we're fine. Let's go to our 5-minute. Take a look here. $89, 57, 57. Okay. They click a little, not exactly the right, same exact moment, which is fine. All right. No, this is fine. That's better. Oh, this is like very similar to TradingView with this. Hopefully this stays on it. I did sign up for the 30-day trial, so it should be all functional. 14 and 50, right, guys? For life. $14 and $50 for life. I'm gonna get a tattoo. What does that mean? Yeah. The day that you see Bitcoin drop substantially, like we've seen in the past, some down days, and this sort of stuff does not show up, higher volume stopping the progress, every time a lower price is made. So here's a low price, here's a new low price. You guys know this stuff, volume. Here's the low price, here's the new low price, volume. Now in this case, all right, it didn't happen there. There wasn't a lot of buying there, and maybe they were going to buy into it at 98. It doesn't take away the fact that these were bought into. And I would really assume that if it did go a little lower on this move, that it would have hit lots of buying at. Oh, you see what it is? It's just, it barely hit 10. If it actually hit 10,000, a couple of ticks down, we'd likely would have seen the buying. But again, this is the stuff. And when you don't see that, that's when you're having a real meltdown. Otherwise, you could have a down day and it's all been bought into, and going forward, it's bullish because as soon as the supply runs out, these are going to start marking up, right? Markup style entry instead of these style entries, right? Makes sense. These are basically, you know, if you're trading gdax and doing limit orders, because, you know, in Forex, I stuck to market orders. In gdax, I'm mostly doing limit orders. But again, you see what I've always talked about in the course. They're looking for lower prices to buy into. Those are basically your limit orders. And then you get to a point where, again, if the selling dries up, which we are seeing to some extent, for sure, at the higher prices. See, there's a bit of selling to stop the progress. Higher prices, higher volume brings selling. But, you know, once the selling really dries up, we're going to likely move up. There's just a bit, really. This is like your automatic rally sort of thing and trying to push through. But again, buying into down moves and then switching over, right? Two ways smart money enters, just two ways to enter a trade. Marking up intentionally, not waiting for lower prices. And you can have a straight rally, you know, not a lot of down ticks involved because they're marking it up. And if you've acquired positions through here and there's not much selling going on and you start taking market orders to push it up, right? Makes perfect sense. And that's mechanics 101 for smart money, right? It gets a little more intricate with storylines and price areas and this and that, but that's the basics, right? Check the chat. Do you see anything bullish showing in Bitcoin? Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're here earlier, but the overview is very bullish for a bunch of reasons. But technical analysis, if we go to the daily chart, the most recent high volume is buying into what would have potentially been a meltdown, a crash. But buyers showed up. They were happy to buy at 9, 10. So right now we have large money, smart traders, know how to trade properly. They didn't panic sell or anything else, positioning long from this area. So, their thinking going forward is, again, I don't know, it's worth showing because we may have different people in here from when I did this before. If you notice this pattern, right, it's repeating, and we have a bullish reaction to this point where it met with some sellers. That's like our 13 wall off of this pattern. I'm sure there was a wall of supply here because there was a lot of buying, but it only went to that point. Pulled back and again hit some buying. You see the volume down there. And now we're here. So buying, initial supply coming down. See the volume? That's that. See, it's the same pattern. It's just a little smaller. It's exactly the same. So this point in this old pattern is here. Now, it doesn't mean, again, it has to mirror it exactly. But the logic of what went on here is large buying, selling that they're not going to fight against, buying again into this down move, right? That volume's higher than the previous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days, 6 days. Sign of strength. And then pushing up higher, which could have gone to the top, whatever. But again, that puts you in a bullish environment from that point. Typically off of something like this, you do have a higher move, but you do have this lurking 20, and we'll deal with that. It's likely fundamental influence, you could say, where a lot of demand for Bitcoin is likely to happen, and we'll get through these points. But for now, they lurk. And here, again, so if we're moving down, then we'll be changing this pattern slightly, and that would be like this pattern testing the low again. But what that reveals is, are these buyers going to show up here? And if they do, we get sort of a double bottom or a fake break. And from there, it's a good deal. And you see smart, large money getting in. Again, you could look for our traditional sort of entries. And then if they don't show up, then it might go for another leg down, which, again, if we're talking about like going to 8, most likely if we do another leg down, not very far, and we'll have a ton of buying at 8 because that's cheap for Bitcoin right now. If you look at the recent range, and if buyers were confident here and they were that confident here, imagine an even better deal to buy at 8. If we look at the order book and we go back to, there's 8, and you see what's, the steep increase in demand as you get below 8 or 2.8. What is this right here? 7, 800. Yeah. So you see this stuff starts to come in. There's so much confidence to buy, from this point. So again, that's sort of if it goes up or if it goes down. And the way to predict that is to see if, oh, stop it. I should be on the Coiningy. Gotta get used to it. The way to predict that is, again, if we're going to move down, to see that there's continuous buying. Just refresh. If we're going to test here, to see continuous buying, which is, again, this sort of pattern. You see it in the order book, but really just on the chart. If we go down to the 5-minute, again, this sort of buying, if it comes in again or if it comes in at a fib area, right? Down moves attracting demand, and we know that we're clearly still in accumulation. But one thing that's looking nice about it to the bullish side is, again, that these higher prices are getting accepted on lower and lower volume. We're not hitting supply here. And really, are traders looking to get out of Bitcoin in large amounts at 10, 9, at 11? I really don't think so. They're looking at 13 as the first real wall. But the chart tells you it. Some selling there. Slightly higher price. some selling, but very little. If it brings it down, I look for demand to say, yes, we're still in accumulation, and I'm not. And if that happens again, we're getting through here, right? We'll start marking it up through. If the demand doesn't show up, then I say, okay, Bitcoin may go on sale even lower. Give it a second. Give it a few hours. Give it a day, and see if it actually dips below here to, again, 9, 8, and wait for the setup at that point. That was a loaded answer, but that's my thoughts. I'm positioned to, if we do move up from here, I didn't want to get with all those buyers. I didn't want to get some of that action at that price area. If it goes lower, I'm prepared to buy more. If it moves up, I'll look about, look to taking profit in the 13 area, perhaps. But there's certainly a scaling out sort of approach, which, again, you guys know, typically I'm not looking at one target for a trade. I'm scaling out. And if this level holds, we get to 13, I'd like to take some profit no matter what. But again, as I've been saying, the longer term strategy, right? It's a combination, because I do consider buying at 10, 11, 8, 9,000 Bitcoin. I do consider that a good low price. I didn't buy at 12, 13, 14, 15. And so going forward, I do want to leave some of that position on. It could still double in value, triple in value down the line, right? You build that up. Let's see, how long have we... I'm telling you, it's amazing the way time flies when I'm streaming. It's like if I streamed every day, all day, my life would go by really fast. Where did the time go? I've been here over an hour. Feels like 20 minutes. So as we always say, no, higher prices, lower prices are going to give us the information we want. If we come down here, we'll see if buyers show up and create that real support, confirm accumulation, and make a very high probability that we're going to move up through that point to 13 and whatever. Again, if we try to move, that's down. If we try to move up, we want to see that selling is not very active, and we're not hitting walls of selling in the order book. We're not seeing signs of weakness come in, and we'd be in a markup phase after the buying of the last dip. If selling does come in, what do? I'm not taking profit, or you sit on it, right? Selling could come in and eventually move up, and then I'm looking for my targets. Selling could come in and bring it down, and I'm looking to buy more if I see other buyers coming in large amounts, right? So that's as detailed of a plan I could give you. That's basically what I'm looking at. Thoughts on Litecoin? From what I know, Litecoin, in the world of reality, Litecoin is a little more of a flexible version of Bitcoin. It has a little more to its coding or whatever that's capable of some things. In the end, what I see really at this point in time, there's going to be days in the future where this is not going to be the case. But for now, they're correlating so much. I have a little bit on this count. They're correlating so much that I'm just basically focusing on Bitcoin. And, again, the correlation is so extreme at this point. You could trade one, you could trade all three, Ethereum. It's the same storyline. At some point in the future, one's going to take off more than the other, one's going to drop and the other won't. As of now, they're very similar. Very, very much correlated. So there's not really a difference in analysis. Now you could say Litecoin being right now at $177 US dollars per coin is cheap, right? Bitcoin is at 10,000, 11,000 a coin. So Litecoin has a more potential upside if it does get adopted more in real life, not hype. But if demand for Litecoin, becomes substantial, it could be at 1,000 in a few months, in 6 months, in here. I don't know, right? But it's a low price, 177 a coin. It's a low price. If a lot of people are using it, the demand goes up, and off it goes. But for now, they're very correlated, so there's not much difference in analysis. I'm looking for the day to come where they kind of break off from each other, perhaps, based on, actual demand for one more than the other or whatever. What's interesting is, if you think about the stuff down the line, there's a gray lining in the silver cloud. The silver cloud of Bitcoin could be worth $1 million in 4 years or whatever, 6 years, whatever. It could be worth $500,000 in a couple years. It's a silver cloud, but the gray lining is your money ain't gonna be worth as much. So you say, "Wow, I made $1 million on Bitcoin. $1 million, it doesn't buy me what it bought me 5 years ago. It's not even close." Because the more demand and usage of Bitcoin as a global currency, the less demand there's going to be for fiat currencies, and therefore less demand brings what? Lower value. So there is a correlation. So one of these days, I'll be saying, "Yeah, guys, we did, time to cash that money in." A lot of that with Bitcoin has gone up. It's found its place at 700,000 a coin, and it's only living the life on the profits. But the profits aren't buying me as much as it used to 5 years ago, because the value of the U.S. dollar is dropping. And the day where it really switched, not the day, but the time in the future where perhaps it really switches over, where the majority of transactions are being done on cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, and not fiat currencies, globally. The fiat currencies aren't going to be worth much. So when you buy back U.S. dollars with your Bitcoin, right? So milk is going to cost $30, because who the hell wants dollars? Use it for toilet paper. It's going to happen. The banking system is a bloated, ridiculous, corrupt, manipulated, fake market. It's bullshit. And we have the technology to not do this anymore. It's pretty amazing. It's the whole decentralization theme. I guess it kind of keeps us away from the 1984 outcome for the world, are we going to have a central global bank for global currency? There is nobody at the helm when it comes to this stuff. It's just commerce, period. Peer to peer. It's good stuff. I'm liking this chart. I'm going to have to just get used to it. They bring back the order book there. Yeah. It's pretty. I get a tick chart. That's cool. How low does this let me go? Oh, okay, only here. So what's up, guys? If you're just joining, hanging out, crypto, Forex, talk. And at this point, we did see some large buying into that last dip. If we come down, we'd like to see those buyers again. If we move up, we'd like to see lack of selling. If either of those don't happen, we may not be moving up for now. If large selling comes into up moves, we may test here or dip lower. If we come down and the buying doesn't show up, we may go lower. But I expect that buyers would show up. If they don't, that's fine. We react. Look, so much demand down here. And again, if you get to 8 and below 8, so much demand. So, let it accumulate and let the sellers dry up sooner or later. So yeah, as I was saying, people ask about the live sessions. What I'm thinking to do, again, just because there's new people in here, and let me know your thoughts on this. About 2 hours ago, or a little under that, is 10 p.m. New York time. I'm thinking of doing a live session at that point for an hour, mainly focusing on Bitcoin because Forex is, most markets not open. And then do an hour at London Open, a second hour later on, which is 3 a.m. for me. Because those are the 2 times that I really want to be on the charts. And we do a London Open Forex, more Forex focused, but really looking at both. So if that works for people, or if you have any suggestions, I think that's probably a good couple of hours to do. 10 p.m. Eastern, 3 a.m. Eastern. That's the time that I'm on. And most focused. Again, of course, I'm looking at it on my phone other times and all that. Anything else you guys want to look at? Some of the other Forex stuff. Check the chat. When do you sleep? Typically after, like when I was doing for so long recently, the London Open sessions for a few hours, 2 or 3 hours, I'd be done at 5, 6 a.m. and then go to sleep. Wake up at 1, 2 in the afternoon. So it's not so bad. I'm in the worst time zone for London Open, 3 a.m. It's not early morning. It's not late at night. It's dead middle of the night. Could get up at 2, or I could go to sleep at 6. So I ended up, I'm a night person, so it's typically after that. I'll sleep when I'm old. And Bitcoin is worth $2 million. When I'm 60 years old, I'll go to sleep at 9 at night. Right now, we're just sort of in this dead area. We need to, again, like I said, we need to move up or down, but we just got to get out of this, and we can get some good information. Again, if higher prices bring sellers or not, if lower prices attract buyers or not. So as long as we're sitting in this range, there's nothing to do. We can look at some of the other stuff here. See where we are with things. So the euro dollar for so long was in the sideways range. Thank God when it's finally made it out. Rejected the 14, which generally any time frame fractally tells you you're in a good trend. Higher highs, higher lows. This is a nice looking move now. After such a long range. So I like to mark what's today, Monday? All right, so Friday, Monday. Again, there's the uptrend. So it's an uptrend that's gone into a sideways range. Why is that? Is it because of weakness? Is it because it's pulling back and reaccumulating? Let's take a look. Let's go to what stopped the progress. And if we see high volume weakness. So we don't. If we had high volume here, if we particularly had high volume here, now there is increases. But again, we're trending upward. So this sort of stuff creates retracements, opportunities to buy off strength. It doesn't say we're going to trend the other way, right? Unless we saw more volume, selling, profit taking, supply. So there is a bit which of course makes sense why it did top off there and do a fake breakout, but it's not high volume whatsoever. There was some large buying into this dip, but at this point, it's kind of similar to what we were looking at with the Bitcoin at the moment. It's in a range where, again, it's bullish but with buying in the background. But if we move up, are we going to hit selling and supply? Because higher prices may attract sellers. If the volume's high and rejects, we know selling is coming in. Or is it going to be able to pull back and hit more accumulation? And at that point, this could be a target and or beyond that, because the sellers may or may not show up. So you have to see when it gets there to manage the trade. But it's that sort of thing, which is funny. That's basically the same thing I just said for Bitcoin. You know, when you get into, if you have a background that's saying bullish, but at the moment you're just sort of ranging, it's lower prices attracting the buyers or not, or higher prices attracting the sellers or not. That's going to give you the next move. But you want to tend to, of course, stay with the trend. So, you know, the simplest trade here would be to look to buy low on a retracement of this move. Again, mainly because it's a trend that hasn't seen climactic high volume weakness. So a lot of the long positions are in there. I'm trying to get the right view here. I mean, you could, of course, this fib is valid if it does move back this far. And if we're talking about levels to look to buy, this is a little further down than maybe it's going to actually do. But you do want to have that bottom to the top of the move fib retracement. It also gives you a confluence pretty much with previous resistance turn support. So if we do end up down here, there's one possibility. This would be a great place to see strength and reaccumulation, right? Let me just check the chat. Okay. No, that's one place. It doesn't have to go that low. We go with the setups that we know, right? So there is that, but then there's also this low and another test of this level, double bottom and or fake break, and seeing strength come in and reaccumulation here, which would basically be if we get below this level and there's a spike in volume and rejection, it's a fake breakout during an uptrend, right? It's reaccumulation. It's the spring. From a Wyckoff's perspective, that is, when you see that, it's likely going to the top and going to try to mark up from there. It's not going to hang out down there. It's not going to get stuck if you do see large buying into this area. And of course, that's where I'd be looking to get in if that showed up. Again, if it tests this area and you don't see the volume increase on the rejection, and you just sort of float through that without demand stopping it, then this is the area that I'd be looking. So buyers are in it. They're confident. They're sitting on it, and lower prices could attract them to accumulate more. So going forward, you know, today, this week, that's what I'm looking at. Buying up high, buying near the high. Of course, I wouldn't look to do. If it does, of course, break out, that's if it moves down, right? We're looking to buy. If it does break out, I don't chase breakouts. I don't buy high, and I'd look at that and say, okay, is the breakout healthy? There's not a lot of weakness. It's not a trap move. It's not a fake breakout. It's a real continuation of the trend. Then again, I'm looking for my retracements to get in from that point. I don't chase breakouts because, of course, you know what happens when you do that. Here's a high, and here's a breakout that a lot of people bought, right? I mean, it's over and over again. So that is not how to trade, right? Buy low, sell high. So if it ends up being a good, healthy trend and continuing, I'm looking for maybe a break test, et cetera, to look to buy in on strength. So that's where we are on that. Let's see how many people. 26. I don't know if you guys are typing, it's not coming through, or you're just kind of listening. So that's where we are. I think you know pretty much what I'm looking to do. Bitcoin, the yen pairs we talked about, euro dollar. No action to be taken at the moment, but I do have a plan. And again, if I'm planning on probably doing these two, subscription-based live stream at 10 p.m. Eastern, and 3 a.m. Eastern. So there's 2 hours, but they're broken up. Sometimes there'll be trades that I'll be getting into at that time, and sometimes, again, it'll be like this, where all I can do is give you all the information I possibly can to make the decision, and you likely know what I'm going to do. If we're not in session, you know what I'm looking to do. And, of course, use your own judgment, and the point is to understand this stuff and make good decisions and learn for yourself, you know. But on a daily basis, to kind of catch up to see my analysis of the markets and what I'm looking to do, hopefully should be a big help for those that are learning. Do you ever think you will return to starting with New York Open? Maybe someday, perhaps. Not in the near future. So if you're interested, it's those times. But if you're looking to trade New York Open, I don't know, it would be helpful, but perhaps to have that 10 p.m. New York time analysis, you know, like, for example, I just gave now at this time of night for the euro dollar, that may help you going forward if you're trading New York Open with that information. But, yeah, for the time being, no plan to do that. I'm listening for sure. Also betting live tennis at the same time. Valerie Nichols, I recognize your name. I recognize a lot of you guys. Can you look at AU? Sure. Project Elevate. Are you still using efficacy for volume analysis? Just join now. Right now I have Pepperstone. And the thing is, as I've been saying, the volume for brokers is a little more dependable than it used to be. And I know I have videos saying you got to use the right broker, because sometimes you get total bullshit. It's not so bad anymore. And if you compare one broker to the next, they should be similar. And if one is very different, you know, you can get demos, MT4 demos, doesn't cost you anything, takes 2 seconds. And you can always compare, and you should see a consistency one broker to the next. If one is inconsistent with the others, that's the one you want to avoid. But you'll see a consistency. I mean, Pepperstone is fine. I've been looking at that. I have to do New York, just can't do the middle of the night. Yeah. Oh, let me go back. AU. Okay. EG. I haven't looked at EG, but I have looked at euro dollar, and I've looked at pound dollar, and I would say EG is bullish. But we can get to the chart. Okay, so AU. Yeah, let's take a look. EG would be, wait, did I say bullish? It's bearish. It's bearish. Look to sell the rallies on EG. But we'll actually look at the chart. Okay, so AU. To get perspective on where we are. We are in a very strong, obviously, as far as an uptrend, and the momentum in the uptrend is very strong too. We're not going into ranges and all that. We spent a few days up here, but we're still coming off some good momentum. Let's get in there. What level is that in the big picture? It's not exact. I mean, there's areas of here that did bring supply in the past, just sort of right now and slightly above. So it's likely not going to just keep running through here in a straight line the way it's been, right? This is where large selling tends to come in. But if we haven't seen the large selling yet, it's still buy the dips, even if it double tops. That's a good trade. But let's get in there and see, you know, to what extent the selling is taking place. We can see on the daily chart there's some increase here, but I really like the 1 hour on Forex to get a view of that. So there's our trend. Give me 1 second here. And a coffee refill. All right. So let's talk facts first, which is, unless we've seen high volume off high prices, weakness, high volume weakness, supply coming in, profit taking, then we want to stay with the trend. So let's take a first look at that. High prices. Again, if we zoom out, where are our high prices really? We're looking in this area. to see to what extent weakness is showing up. So if we go here, we saw a bit of weakness. Higher prices are going to give you more up-to-date factual information about how sustained and continuous the selling is. High price here, medium to low volume, certainly not a reversal sort of signal, and this is not a reversal signal. This is a retracement, right? Look at the buying in the background. It's a strong trend, and strong trends tend to go out with a bang, right? There's a lot of profit taking to be done. Typically, it's on some good news when everybody's buying into a breakout, and they could sell off to them, and you have all this activity, right? So this is not that. This is certainly not that. Slightly higher price here. And again, you see the volume increase to explain why it didn't continue up. But is that profit taking and changing of sentiment? Of course not. It's not climactic volume if you're coming from the VSA. Not at all. But again, it's creating fake break patterns off of a bit of selling. The best way around these things, like we were talking about with 13, with Bitcoin, when you have a situation with selling, it's a bullish environment, you need to move down and get away from it. And that's going to attract more buyers. Even if it doesn't break out, buying low back into the high. Here we have some higher prices. Okay, so no real issue, right? Particularly some really high volume here, creating what? A sign of strength. There was a mix of buying and selling. That was probably news, but it's a sign of strength. If you look at the reaction to the high volume, right? We talk about news and reaction to prices, and so that's obviously demand, and of course this reaction for the rest of the day off of that. So we have strength in the background and limited supply and a nice uptrend. So we're still bullish. Buying into the high is silly. So if we can see at this point, there was a very clean bounce off of the fib area. We're back to that. Was there a lot of demand there? No. But we may run into it this time. We could do a fake break. So the idea is, I'm glad we're not running off. It's a good trend, but hopefully we can get high volume demand coming in. Well, there's some high volume. Let's take a look. That may have been news for Australia. It's still kind of off hours type of activity, even though Australia is open, right? Yeah. But lower prices and strength, right? We're looking for a reaccumulation. So it could happen into this level as it's a support, and very often on 618 you get the fake breakout, or you get the overshoot of 618. A lot of you guys hear me say that like forever, right? A slight overshoot of 618, bringing high volume demand, on a 5-minute chart. Now that we know where we are, for example, right, would be a point at which I would look to get into the trade off a proper setup there. High volume, and the entry method from that point. Now, if buyers don't show up there, right? So it's basically buy the dips on strength. If buyers don't show up there, there's really not that much that it would interest me until this level. Oh, okay. That's funny. I'm looking at this going, wait a second. We just did a fake break of 618. Where was I? No, that's my... That's my red line that I drew in, showing up as that. That was funny. I'm like, what? It just did it now? All right. No, that's not there. Okay. But that kind of shows what I'm talking about. So again, if buyers don't show up there and give a signal, I'm looking for the reaccumulation a bit lower. If it wants to mess around with highs, that's fine, and we can judge how much supply is coming in and see that it's still a strong trend if we're not getting high volume weakness into highs. So that's what we can get. If it goes up, I'm not going to chase it or buy there, but the buy opportunity on a down move. Again, as I say in trends, I don't chase the breakout, but if it does break out properly without weakness, then I'm looking to buy dips and fib retracements and previous resistance turns support on a break test continuation, those sort of things. Still buying into down moves. But it would have to clearly get out of there because, again, fake breakouts happen all the time. They're traps. Don't chase price. So a good, healthy trend. Let's see if we get some buyers into the down move reaccumulation. So hopefully that's helpful. Let's see where we are in the chat. So yeah, EG is bearish because the pound is much stronger than the euro at this point. We could look at the chart. It's not a pair that I trade. That's a hell of a lot of question marks. You must be in a trade to put all those question marks. Are most of your trades over time scalps or swing trades? Daily, yeah, trading. I mean, with Forex, I'm not doing long-term trades at all. I'm day trading. I'm usually out of the trade in the same day or the next day or whatever, unless I have some larger targets and I'm letting it sit with my stop at break even sort of thing. But I don't hold for a month or two or something with Forex, no. Cryptocurrencies is different. As I acquire low, I'm going to hold. So I can retire in 5 years and do whatever I want. I see bullish MACD divergence on euro pound 1 hour. Okay, I guess people want to look at the euro pound. We could do that. Yes, more at these time frames would be great. More at this time of night, yeah. So again, because people are coming in and out, sorry if I repeat things. 2 hours ago is when I'm thinking of starting live sessions as a subscription, like I usually do. Right now, I'm just kind of doing it for fun. So 2 hours ago, that's 10 p.m. New York. I'll do an hour, and then also an hour at London Open, 3 a.m. Eastern. So 2 hours that are separated. Again, first hour focused more on crypto. Second hour, obviously, at London Open, focused more on the Forex stuff. And just giving you in that hour all the information I can for you to make your informed decision, and you know what I'm looking to do. If a trade setup happens, it happens, but, you know, likely during those times, you may or may not. There's going to be plenty of times where there's not, but it's all going to be laid out as far as getting the facts and then the little bit of speculation that we do. Wait for it to come to us. 90% facts, 10% speculation, right? It's probably a good way to look at how you trade, how you should trade. I see bullish MACD divergence. Okay, I don't trade the euro pound and I don't use MACD divergence. That's just me, whatever's working for you. We can look at the euro pound since some people are asking about it. During New York session, I'm not typically trading at all, no. Unless I'm sort of, as I say, babysitting trades that I was in earlier and I want to stay up and do it. And it depends what I have to do during the day and all that stuff. But it's not like a regular thing that I'm going to do, no. Chris, you'd be in? Also trade the first half of New York. I mean, when am I supposed to sleep, guys? I got a kid, you know. I got a life, sort of. I do music production. So if I did New York Open as well as those other 2 times, I'd be inconveniencing myself very much. The 10 p.m. hour would be really helpful to make sure I'm seeing the same things on the charts for the next day. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Is I can give you, as you see now, some pretty detailed analysis about where we are and what I'm looking to do. And it's all, again, once you understand the analysis and the facts, 90% facts, what I'm looking to do becomes obvious, obviously, right? So it's a matter of giving you the understanding. And if you're not totally, you know, if we're not in session when things happen, you should know. Be informed when it comes. Got EU in a range after a big uptrend, so it will hit levels on either side, short or long. Yeah, if it moves up and there's climactic weakness, you know, obviously the shorts are potentially there. If it moves up and there is not weakness, then I'm still looking to buy dips. If it moves down, I'm looking for the reaccumulation to get in, you know, strength at levels that make sense. That's pretty much sums up EU for me, yeah. I meant that I also trade New York Open like some of the others here. You can sleep. Oh, okay. Thanks, Chris. I'll do that. Vincent says, I bought EU at low of day with your information nailed plus 45 pips. Okay, cool. Good stuff. Yep. If it's an uptrend, hasn't seen weakness, buy low at levels that make sense. When demand shows up and the 5-minute says lack of supply. That basically sums it up. Good stuff. Gold. I haven't looked at gold in a while. What is it, still at 12? Kind of boring. I haven't looked at gold in such a long time. I'm guessing it's at like 12.50, right? Gold became boring. Where am I? Here. Let me hit the restroom here for a minute, guys, and then we'll look at gold. All right, be right back. All right, let's take a look. Gold. Where am I? Gold, USC, gold. What? Oh, here. No. Is it not? Puts it up there. That's strange. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. $13. Yeah, I wasn't off. I wasn't far off. It's at $12.50. I haven't looked at the chart in a long time. I know gold is just kind of rangy, but that is a big old range and it's tradable, but it's not really excited to go anywhere. I think the correlation, on a side note, we'll do the analysis here. On a correlation, though, gold will become probably lower in value as the alt currencies go up in value. So let's look at where we are with this. No obvious trend in the big picture. If we look at, so there's no trend, so that doesn't give us a direction off the bat. Next thing I look at is momentum. There is a decent momentum to the upside, but of course, particularly in rangy conditions, the high could just be the end of that. There is no higher highs, higher low structure going on. Again, there's some recent momentum, but you know, these up moves happen all the time like this, and it really ends up going nowhere. And now let's look at volume. And basically, U.S. dollar has seen some weakness, so as far as the correlation. But let's see what our 1 hour volume is telling us. And again, no strong trend, but we do have an upside momentum. Now, volume in the background, first of all, this stands out as some very large buying before that up move. This was a mix of buying and selling, but as it tested this high area, just to kind of go back and show you some of the stuff I always talk about that actually happened, there was certainly a mix of buying and selling here because these candles have some high volume. Certainly some selling, a lot of buying to bring it up, but also selling into the up move as the volume was high and there was a downward result. So there's some weakness there. Now, if you look at this high, this is the next time that we tested it. You see how the selling did not show up. That could have been a bit of volume on there and a fake breakout, right, of this high. Because again, it's not just any level. There was a lot of activity there. So you see how the volume is low? And that's showing that we're not likely doing a fake breakout. We're not seeing supply come in again. And we're likely going to be able to move up higher. Now, how did it end up happening? Of course, we don't chase breakouts. We wait for the dip and the demand, right? So there it is. 50 EMA, fib retracement, right? So this is just showing stuff a lot of you already know. And that's our background. And obviously very high volume strength. So this is not a surprise. So here on this day, you see high volume strength and lack of supply. So hence that. Now just going forward, now we can kind of get caught up with the storyline. Higher prices here. Did they attract weakness? No, they did not. It stays bullish off of this. Again, large picture is not an uptrend, but we have, you know, decent sized moves within this to trade as sort of little mini trends. At this point, not a lot of weakness there, particularly with all that buying that just went on in this price area here. They're holding a lot of those positions, right? Now, on a retracement, what do we get? Strength, right? There's a dip to buy of some higher volume. Double bottom, strength. You see the higher volume, low price. Back up we go. Now, the high price. Again, what do we see? Nothing interesting. Nothing too interesting with volume or profit taking, right? So we have a bullish situation forming all through here, right? Really from this day, it became clear. Lack of selling, large buying. Lack of selling a high price. Decent buying on a reaccumulation, right? Demand, double bottom. Back we go. High price, are they getting out? Weakness, has it become bearish? To profit taking supply? No, right? Very limited volume. So it's still bullish. Where was I exactly? So now we're on, let's look at this dip, which happened on the 18th. We got a lot of mess going on here now at this point. So we're bullish in the background. We didn't see a lot of profit taking. And this, we just see high volume leading to no change. Particularly this day, right? Mid bullish environment, this doesn't tell me that I really want to start to look bearish. It does say that I want to avoid this sort of no result from high volume activity. It would look like we maybe wanted to go up from that. We came back down. 2 days later, right, we're at the same price area as all that activity. So we didn't get a clear outcome from it. We didn't get a clear, you know, this could have been a break test continuation, right? But it actually ended up being a fake breakout, coming back down. So at this point now, you could, you know, now you have facts, right? You can kind of conclude the best thing to do, particularly if you know my setups. So what would that be? The 1 hour is like a little too zoomed, and then the when I do this, I'm a little too zoomed out, but now we're good. So what I'd be looking to do is buy off demand at lower prices. The lower, the better. And again, it only means we're likely to go back to the high. I'm not talking about some great trend that's meant to continue, but there is confidence to buy in here, or at least not take profit and hold some of these positions from earlier. Again, you know, from a 1 hour point of view, we are in an uptrend, and we're talking about here these levels after not seeing a lot of profit taking. So, you know, as you back out, you sort of lose the trend, but that's where we are right now. So buy the dips on strength is the conclusion. Again, it was all very clear until you got a little bit of churny stuff, a little bit of high volume, but not much of an outcome. But it doesn't give you the typical, I mean, these large traders that are in from some of these earlier stuff and the recent uptrend in there are not stupid, and they're not about to get out of trades like this. They want high prices, and they're likely looking to get out of these areas. So again, looking to buy off demand and aiming for some of those higher prices would be the way to go. Yes, sir. So you see, it's kind of a, again, this is like my saying lately for some reason now. It's 90% gathering facts, 10% speculation. Facts first. And then the speculation is, we're all going to speculate probably the same things once we get the facts together. Where's smart money position from? Are they still in those positions? Are they looking to take profit? Are they looking to add? Are they looking for lower prices to buy into? Are they looking for higher prices to get out of? Like all this stuff you can conclude. And then it's just a matter of seeing how it develops and where the opportunities are to align yourself with them, right, the best you can. It seems like the Bitcoin traders are a bit smarter. They're still using the RSI. Some of you are like, what's wrong with RSI? But the dumbest lot of traders had to have been the early Forex traders back into, when it started to boom online, 2004, 5, 6. That had to be the dumbest. And I'm not saying people were dumb. I'm saying the information that was peddled to these people. Oh my gosh. They're just victims. They tried. But when you got 4 momentum indicators and oscillators and you're watching news to be negative and positive, you're completely ignoring the facts that drive the market, supply and demand, and what big money is doing because they know what they're doing and doing what they're doing. We just skip over that and just talk about oscillators, But I think in Bitcoin, and traders now are not so naive. It's a little better. It's all good. It doesn't mean that everybody, this whole idea of 90%, if we're coming down, I'm looking for buyers to come in, by the way, here. If 90%, the whole 90% of traders lose, or 80% of Forex traders lose, or traders in general, the thing is, it doesn't have to be that way. There's no problem with me accumulating low on Bitcoin and selling it at a point later in time that somebody else says to themselves, this is a dip. This is a good time to buy, and they're speculating an up move, and okay, here, I'll sell it to you. You take it from there. It doesn't have to be such a lopsided situation. It really doesn't. It doesn't have to be money from the masses going to the few that know what they're doing, and everybody else is, kind of in the dark. Trading does not have to be that way. There's going to be losers, but it doesn't have to be so lopsided. Just the straightforward nature of crypto trading compared to all the kinds of crap that you have to deal with Forex it's nice. It's kind of what I always wanted. But where are we with this? Again, here we have some buying into the down moves. As long as we're not marking up and maybe moving down, maybe we'll test here again. 9, 8 is likely to bring a ton of buying and a good buy opportunity, buy low. If we go back up to 13 off of another drop, and that's a nice move for the medium sort of term target. So we see it, right? Lower prices attracting buyers. When price is moving down, it stopped on high volume. And as a result of the high volume, it stops the progress. And we have found buyers. Now, just to match that up, because we already know that, and a lot of you know that from the Forex teaching. But if we go to reading the story, yes, the story. For sure. Okay, so we were just talking about buyers interested. Now let's look at these levels. 10, 285, 10, 3. Price came down to this point, hit more activity, and did a bit of a bounce. That doesn't mean we have to go up from here, but factual information at this point. Is this the greatest spot to buy? No, it's not. I wouldn't just jump in at this point. But let's talk about and see that demand did show up there around about 10. Now let's look at the order book depth chart. at that price area, 10.2 to 10.3, and you see a significant increase in demand at that point. Look at the supply, the same distance away as the demand, right? 10.2, right? So at this point, at this very moment in time, there's a bit of a concentration of sell orders right here, and it's likely going to push down a bit from that. But you see what they're going to deal with as far as the demand. Let's go back to the chart. What are we talking about? Let's look at the price areas. Well, we already did 10.2. If we back out more, we see some real walls of demand, right? 10. The whole number thing in crypto trading is a bit more of an influence. Like, if you guys notice with the Forex stuff I'm talking about, fibs, support resistance, moving averages, high volume support resistance points, and I don't focus so much on whole numbers. In this sort of trading, Bitcoin stuff, it's very much focused on that. They're very important. So 10 is a support, period. It is. It's a place, we treat it like a support because we expect in a bullish market large buying to come in, right? That's what a support is. But it's also just an area of information, as I say. And if 10 didn't have this, right, we say, okay, we're probably going to 9 or 8, right? But these whole numbers kind of become like a point at which the demand and the buyers can sort of lock arms and say, we're looking at this level. We can build a consensus. You know, you have other large traders behind you. This is like millions of dollars, you know, literally in Bitcoin that would look to be bought at this price. Those entry orders, those limit orders are in there. If there was a drop of $300 to 10 right now, which could happen pretty quickly, it's nothing crazy, then bam, all that millions of dollars in Bitcoin is going to be sucked in. The demand is there. And I think whole numbers help the consensus build because indicators, everybody's looking at different things, whatever, but the whole numbers are undeniable. You know, we were talking about 1300 as being the wall, and you know, last session is going to go up to 1300, and there's a consensus to take profit and sell at that point. And that's exactly what it did. It was based on 1300 and not necessarily, you know, support resistance, although they do come into play. Whole numbers added to the category of support resistance. Be aware of them, particularly in crypto trading. So that's 10. And as you can see on this little play account, the streaming account, I do have a order just in case it drops to even, it's even a little lower. I like to buy cheap and just kind of leave it there. If price drops there, you know, here, 8, right? Now, if we look at 9, we even get a bit of a bump there. See, so 8, 9, and 10. You also have a lot of times 9, 500, right? So whole numbers, not so much in Forex. I mean, some people do use that. Me, I don't give it as much importance, but it's certainly here. Added to your list of support resistance levels, which is basically regular support resistance, whole numbers, fibs. Remember, previous resistance becomes support and all that. And the moving averages. And you get confluences, of course, plenty of times where 2, 3 things start lining up. So you can get a whole number being tested. It's also, a previous support, perhaps. It's a 50 EMA on a 1-hour chart, pullback. It's a fib retracement or whatever. So, those things line up. You get huge probability. And then you look in real time. Is demand coming in? Is it really holding? Or is it sort of just eating through these buy orders and continuing, right? And then you say, okay, do I want to get in this trade? But whole numbers, you got to focus on that with the cryptocurrencies. Much more than Forex, in my opinion. Yeah, Vincent, yeah. The things that look so clear to, we need to, again, like when you get into these little choppy ranges, test the high or slightly higher or the low or slightly lower, and then bam, from there you can, you have such a good new fact, piece of information, then you can start making your, speculation. You can start speculating. But when things are just kind of ranging and not testing new prices in a while. It's hard to. There's no real good probability stuff. We got to find out by testing some of these prices. The fact that you can see, yeah, it is great. That was some badass analysis right there. Taking notes. Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah, I've only been doing this 10 years, so I should be pretty badass, or else I need to give it up. Right? Like I say to people, because there's probably a lot of people, everybody attending now is at different levels. There's a bunch of people that have been learning from me for a while, but others who are still in that learning process, learning, which I did day and night and all weekend, and thank God my wife didn't leave me, and she encouraged me. And I got married in 2008 too, so it was very much like, she was luckily very supportive. What was my point? Oh yeah, so when you're in the learning phase, remember that eventually you'll get to that point where you're doing it very easily, and really all you have to think about, I guess, is discipline. Like, I kind of have to think about discipline, but not really. I'm just sticking to my plan. But the point of what I'm saying, which I've said before, but for some of the newer people, the stress of trying to trade and make money and worried about your trades making and losing money and all that, and being so intensely focused on that, while at the same time you're still kind of learning. And every Friday you go, I learned more than I knew last Friday. If you're still at that point, it's a tough mix. Your learning process could slow down. Your trading could suffer because, of course, you're not quite there yet. It's really about learning, and the last step is the confidence to do it and stick to it and be disciplined. But if you're still learning, it's hard to do that. There's a lot of gray areas. There's a lot of questions. So I don't tell people, okay, well, start learning and start trading. Use a demo account, use whatever, because markets will take your money, no problem. It's not personal. So you really better know what you're doing. Otherwise, use a small account. I was never okay with demos. They were always like, I don't even care. So like some small amount, whatever you're comfortable with, but nothing that's going to make you sweat and worry. While you're still in the process of learning, you don't want to do that to yourself. It'll be an expensive lesson. So again, I'm thinking it's starting to come together as far as when I'm going to be doing live sessions that you could subscribe to through the website. Again, I usually go below what other trading rooms or whatever you want to call it charge. I keep it cheap. And it's just the kind of thing where if people are paying, it's just signing up. Then I know that it's my schedule and I'll stick to it. It even gives me a little more discipline and all that. And so I'm looking at 10 p.m. This is New York time, Eastern Standard Time, U.S. 10 p.m. for 1 hour, so 10 to 11 New York time, and then 3 to 4 London Open to focus a little more on the Forex stuff. So to break it up into 2 hours. So one subscription you get 10 p.m. and a 3 a.m., 1 hour each. And again, I'll just flood you with all the facts and information and what I'm looking to do and all that, and help you be informed and learn. But I think that's what I'm going to do. But best thing to do is, as most of you know, and many of you got here through this, is to put your email here. And then you'll know about everything that I'm doing. If I'm streaming for free, or if I do end up putting these subscription live sessions are not going on at the moment, but they would normally be here to sign up for that and the courses. But I'll email you, and not too often, so don't worry. But you always know when something important's going down, so you could do that. This is the way I like to trade. For a while, you know, I was just doing the pass the sleep test. I was doing, I've been trading, but I just haven't been doing the live sessions. It gets very boring. I was starting to lose my mind. Because again, you know, this time of night, nobody's awake, which I like. My phone's not ringing. My wife and kid are asleep. I can completely focus on what I'm doing. But then again, I was completely alone. I was running out of songs to listen to. I'm like, I need a new playlist. Getting bored. So I like this. And explaining things puts me in focus even more so. Let's see what happened here. We got a bit of activity. Again, we saw that some buying came in here to stop the progress of the down move. What's this? Some aggressive market orders, perhaps? You know what I've noticed, and that's going to show up as walls that are very close. So there may have been a very close wall that just got taken in. I've noticed something odd, very, very odd about this. And look out for it, and you may see it, okay? Somebody, I don't mean a bunch of people, I know a lot of, somebody is fucking around, okay? You tell me what you think of this. I saw on 2 separate occasions, and I did the math, and it was about $250,000 in Bitcoin. Limit orders were being put, one person, because it kept moving around and jumping around, but one entity, and again, I did the math with the price and the amount of Bitcoin they were looking to buy, and it was about $250,000 US, and it kept jumping around, kind of moving around, kind of toying with you, and it would go up to here maybe for a second and kind of pull down, but it was staying, like, if this is the current price, it was here. You'd see all of a sudden 225, and then it would disappear and show up here. That's why I say it's one person, it's one thing. And then it would disappear and show up here, and then it would disappear and show up there. I don't know why they're doing this, or what are they trying to say? I'm here, bulls, I got your back. I don't know. It's a strange thing. Who would do that? I mean, even if it's a computer program doing that, it's an odd way to do things, and you just keep your $250,000 in Bitcoin that you're about to get into just below market rate, and you kind of keep bouncing it around, and you see it disappear and show up somewhere else. I mean, you could see at this point, like 200,000 would stick out, and you'd have a big green, you know? What that is, I don't know. Who that is, I don't know. What they're doing. Everybody sees you, and your $250,000 that you keep switching your limit order on. Like, why are you doing that? Who are you? You know? I don't know. Theories? If you guys have some theories. Valerie, yeah. I just happened to be sitting at my computer when the live stream. Oh, okay, good, yeah. Oh, about email sign up, yeah. But again, this is the time I want to do it. Basically, like 2.5 hours ago. I want to stick to more of a regular time, and then I'll do it as a subscription at some point. They were prosecuting in the UK, designed to trick the algos. Perhaps. How would that trick the algos? Maybe it's somebody who, I mean, we can only speculate. I don't know. If you're somebody who wants the price to go up, and a few ticks below current price, you keep throwing in these huge buy orders, then perhaps the algos, perhaps the automated trading, perhaps the sellers, human beings, see that, and it affects their desire to sell into that. But for a long time, that $250,000, give or take, in Bitcoin was not being filled. It was kept a few ticks below current price, and they kept toying around with it, moving it up a few ticks, down a few ticks, and it wasn't really for the intention of getting hit. Strange. Crypto has a lot of manipulation, fake buy walls to encourage buyers. I mean, that's what it basically was. It was fake because he wasn't actually getting in. This dude or entity is just Yeah. Fake sell walls to drive down price. A lot of wash trading, buying and selling into your own orders and painting the tape. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's why you really got to gather information, and you're not just trading off of that alone. That would be horrible. But yeah, I could see how that would influence people to do certain things. Yeah. Which is what manipulation is, influencing people to do things based on not so accurate facts. It's not what it appears to be. I suppose that's what market manipulation is. And getting people to do things that you want them to do. Buying and selling into your own orders and painting the tape. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So again, at this point, we didn't do any technical analysis besides looking at price and volume. And we could conclude that as some higher volume came in and stopped the progress, higher volume stopped the progress, down moves on the higher volume with a bullish reaction, that demand is coming in. And if we start to move up off of that, it's not really surprising. And that's just off of some price volume analysis. Of course, we combine all that with, is this a level I even want to buy at? What does this level mean? And all that. And I'd like to see, because I do have some long positions from this area. And again, my approach is looking at this lower area and ideally the support ultimately to see if buyers again step in and create some more volume, a double bottom or a double bottom fake break pattern, and come up from there. Again, if they don't show up at this crucial point, we do go down to here, most likely, for our next checkpoint where there was a ton of activity in buying. And they may show up again on the double bottom sort of support thing. Again, this is also pretty much 10 whole number, which you have to account for, particularly here, these whole numbers potentially being support. But this is just the recent dip that we're looking at. And again, buying, and accumulating. The buy orders on this recent dip, range from 11.5 to 92. If they had gotten out of those orders, we would have seen some large supply, right? And at 13, we saw that wall, and it's still there, but not a lot of it really was triggered. And it sort of just came to, and again, which tells you that these buyers are still in. And that, again, it's just a recent dip. There's the last time this sort of thing happened, which was here. So again, this important level, in this case, didn't get tested. Brought some buy activity there on a sign of strength, buying into the down move. So again, if we look at it here, we may get some buying into the down move and move up, or we may not get the buying, and we say, okay, let's see, perhaps lower prices 9.8 to look to buy. That's my plan. So what do you say? Bitcoin at $1 million in 3 years. What happens when a currency has an absolute ceiling about as far as supply? You can't print it anymore. The value just has to go up. The more demand there is, it goes up and up and up and up. It's not a bubble. It's just supply and demand. Healthy stuff. Ed, a little more advance notice to get here would be good. Yeah, I mean, this is just last minute. But again, that's the time, 10 p.m. New York time. If I'm streaming and I'm just doing it, no charge and just hanging out, that would be the time. I'll probably do it tomorrow, too. But when would the market start showing up? Are these positions you are looking at in a week or so today? How quickly does this market get there? As far as the stuff that I'm sort of expecting here, very near future. It could happen today. If you're saying particularly like, where am I? Like the reaction to this could be in the next couple hours, right? This is a daily chart, so if today brings us here, it's not unreasonable. Certainly by tomorrow, it's reasonable. Today, tomorrow, it could happen in an hour, whatever. But on a daily candle and reaching this range, nothing crazy. So it could be soon, and getting that answer. If that's what you mean, that sort of thing. But there's typically action to take every day, whether it's buying, selling off what you bought, something, as far as day trading. Again, there's also the longer term strategy of particularly low orders, letting them accumulate to some extent, and only taking partial profit on really the low orders, and start to build up and accumulate a nice low price for that day that it goes to 40,000 in the next 6 months. And cha-ching, you want to be in it. But day trading, yeah, this could happen today, and a buy opportunity. If I buy here, again, we're talking about 13, things like that. From a day trading perspective, 12, 13, a buy here. Or even lower, it depends on what you're looking at. I mean, if you're getting here, if you're using a stop loss type of situation and you're not looking to just accumulate into down moves, anything beyond a fake break of this level would be saying, okay, we're probably going down to 8 or 7 or whatever. So if it gets to basically 9 and you're not seeing demand come in, that gives you the projection of going to 8 and whatever down there. And again, that could be an opportunity in a few days if that doesn't happen, right? It sounds like I'm saying, well, if this happens, if that happens, and it's all just sort of, well, who knows? But hopefully it's clear that, like, if the market does this, I'm going to do that. If the market does this instead, I'm going to look for that, right? So it is black and white. Hopefully I'm just explaining it well, I hope. If this happens, I'm looking for that to get in. If that happens, I'm looking for that to tell me, et cetera, et cetera. So price could move up or down. And when it moves up or down, it could hit buyers at the lower prices, or it could not. It could hit sellers into the up moves or not. And you just have a plan that fits the storyline to work with that stuff as it happens. Kind of should get used to this. I don't know, it's a little small, but of course I can do that. So yeah. We could say for today, if it gets to this 9.3-ish, 9 level, and does not hit demand, does not hit buyers, look out, step back, wait for 8 perhaps. Wait for those buyers to show up. If they do, then we're probably, going to attempt 13 again. If we do see another bounce like this with volume in this area. So hopefully everybody's mind is sort of really focused. You know where we are, you know what to look for, you know the story, you know the common sense reasons to do things or not do things. Does it follow the bank opens? Oh, Bitcoin? No, I didn't really see any correlation with that. Damn, you're spitting. Cool. When you have to explain this stuff and put it into words, as opposed to sitting here with music on by yourself in the middle of the night, it helps me get really hyper focused, and it actually helps the time pass, and it's fun. They say traders don't contribute anything to the world, so I feel useful. They contribute something to the world when they buy your product with all the money they made. How about that? They contribute to the economy. So that's it. Until something develops, there's nothing to do. Trading is 90%, 99% waiting, right? But I got my plan. And it's stress-free. That's the thing. It really should be stress-free. 100%? Okay, maybe not. But that's the goal. If this happens, it's fine because I'm going to do that. If that happens, it's fine because I'm going to do that. I've planned out for every possible scenario, and I stick to my plan, and I trust it. That's it. Nothing emotional going on. But hey, you can't help, feel a little bit when you're maybe down or up. But that's okay. I try to minimize it. I don't take action on emotion, of course. We all know this. So you aren't placing stops on these entries. It depends. Like in this account, I'm not really too worried about it. In my larger account, yes, I do have my limitations. But I'm also still at the phase where I'm, again, mixing the two together. So when I'm acquiring Bitcoin, I'm, partially looking to take profits early, partially looking to hold. So there's sort of a combination. But there's definitely on my larger account limits. I'm not going to, let it just run down on me with no stop loss. I mean, no. But again, it's not so black and white like I am with Forex, where I have a little more flexibility at least. And I plan for that when I enter the trade. So I'm not getting into a trade, like again in Forex, if it's a fake break double bottom, or it's a sign of strength off the low, I allow for fake break, and I place my stop loss, right? As a lot of you know how I place my stop loss. And that's it, black and white. You don't move that thing, you don't see it go down and go, well, I'll let it run down. No. Well, I'll let it run down another 50 pips and then I'll buy more. I don't do that in Forex. There's a little more flexibility for me to do this, particularly because now I'm just starting to build up my longer term position too. But again, there are points where I'm expecting price to move in my direction, and if it doesn't, I can get out. That's fine. And maybe I don't close the whole thing because I am acquiring over time as well. Right? Makes sense. Kind of like a basket, Am I going to be here tomorrow? Tomorrow is Tuesday. Yes, I definitely will. Because this is now my schedule pretty much set. Unless I have something to do or, I perform with a band every now and then. So I won't be on 10 p.m. at night on those nights. I'll be out getting plastered because that's the only time I drink. Too much information. So it is my regular schedule, though, pretty much 10 p.m. My kid's asleep, it's all good. And then 3 a.m., of course, because London Open, I want to be on for that. So live stream for Forex Open I probably won't be doing, but at this 10 p.m. New York, yes. You play music? Yeah. You play bass? Oh, cool. We can have some bass player talk. I'll tell you something about me. There's a lot of shit I don't know that I'm not good at. I didn't do good in school. I didn't do so good in the school education. But there are a few things that I'm good at. It's trading and music, and hopefully being a dad. I think I'm pretty good at that. But trading and music are my things. I'm a decent cook. Decent. I don't have a lot of different dishes but I could make you some good stuff. But yeah, music and trading, that's my thing. That's a good day. Trading and music and my family. I'm set. I'm good. So bass, where I'm actually trying to find a permanent drummer. So I'm working with an artist. He's an amazing singer. I never thought I'd be in a quote-unquote band again, but, it's not a band as far as it's a democracy. Me and the singer are really the 50-50 partners of it, and we recorded an album together and everything. I didn't think I was going to do this stuff. I mean, I charge money for studio time if I like the artist and I choose to take the project, or I like mixing when people send me songs to mix. I really like that. As Ed said, thank you very much. And I started when I was 17, just working in a studio and I started getting paid for the recording. And now I'm almost 42. So I have a little experience. But so I ended up working with this singer just because, he had the whole deal. He's got the charisma, he's got the voice, the talent. He shows up on time. He doesn't do drug, you know, the whole package. The whole package. I can hang out with him. So I end up doing this again. But I'm pretty much running the band, so I needed to find the band and do this. And he has his department, like the music video. I was leaving up to him, which he did a great job at producing that, and that's going to be out soon. You can see me in a music video playing guitar, probably in a month. But then, sorry, I'm getting off topic. But anyway, we talked enough about trading. Let's take a break for a second. But the bass player in our band, speaking of bass player, I've known him since I was like 15. So I'm like, okay, no brainer. He's our bass player. Again, he shows up on time. He plays right. And he's not doing hard drugs. I guess if you're doing hard drugs, you're not going to show up on time. And the drummer, we're trying to find a permanent drummer, but I think we have somebody now. We're going to try out. But on the album, I ended up playing everything and then worrying about the band later. So I played drums, bass, and guitar and keyboard on the album and produced the engineering and doing all that. Co-wrote the songs. So I really got to use everything that I do. It was really fun. I do Led Zeppelin and what? Oh, okay. Led Zeppelin, yeah. You know, the 70s rock, late 60s, 70s is like the foundation for everything possible after that. And there's no way around it, and it will never change. It's like supply and demand, right? It's the basis of why everything. The 70s rock, yeah, is the basis for all rock that could ever be made. Pioneers like Led Zeppelin and all that. You pretty much can't help being influenced by it. It's just how it's done. The bass is fun because it's a little song in itself down there, and a lot of times I saw a meme, a little meme that says the bass player changes the root note, and he had like a little sneaky look on his face, you know, when you play the third instead of the root at just the right time. Gives you a little positive emotion in the song. I like changing bass notes, thirds and fifths in the bass and stuff like that. It's cool. I do that a lot on chord progressions. Because, you know, songs are going to be 3 or 4 chords over and over again. You can't get around it. Unless you're going to write some weird song. Then a pop song is going to be a few chords over and over again. But if you change the root note on the third time around, instead of hitting the root of a chord, you hit the third. Or you hit the 1, you stay on the 1 while everybody else is changing chords, going to the 5, but you hang out on the 1. It feels like you're playing a different riff to the audience. It gives a different feeling, but it's the same chord progression. You know what I'm talking about if you're a bass player. Yeah, Skype I haven't been on in so long. I don't know. Do people still use Skype? I should take it off my website because I think it still says just to join Skype. I really should take that off, guys. I haven't been on Skype. The one time that I tried to get on Skype, I say tried because it was not that long ago. I got so flooded with messages that it froze. Like I can't load into Skype because I have like 6 months worth of messages that are all trying to come in. I think that's what froze it. Well, I didn't have a Skype trading room to be technically exact. I would hang out on Skype, and at first when I started my trading room, it was kind of a backup. If we lost sound or there was any issue, there was a Skype room. Then I kind of got rid of the room, and it was just kind of like talking to people directly on Skype during a live session if they have questions or anything. But I really don't use it anymore. So I'm pretty much never on Skype. The best thing to do is email me or attend these sessions or whatever. I don't know. Is there any benefit for me going on Skype? Probably not. Let's see how things have developed. So just facts, right? First talk facts, then speculate. We again the increase in volume. We saw this, and now we're really picking up in volume. And what's the result? No change, right? There's a mix of buying and selling. The activity in the market increased, right? Obviously, but it didn't bring really any price change, which means it's a mix of buying and selling. Just facts. If all that activity was mostly selling, it would move down. Mostly buying, it would move up. But it actually went nowhere, so it's just a lot of ticking sideways. A little more selling, a little more buying. But kind of in balance in a way. So there's no out of balance supply demand to actually move the price. It's just more activity in this price area on both ends, buying and selling. So that's just facts. What does it mean right now going forward? Nothing. Again, I'm positioned if it moves up, and if it moves down, I will look to buy if I see the right situation and demand and everything else at the time to evaluate it. See the chat. That's the one. We can look at some different time frames too. I like this. There's the 15-minute really showing the activity increase, but not much of a price change. We'll see what the result may end up being off of that. All right. So maybe I'll just take a little break from talking. Hang out, though. Let some things develop. But I'm here, guys, if you want to hang out. If you have any questions about anything, questions, comments, anecdotes, feel free. I'll be in and out, just hanging out here for a little bit. If anything develops, we'll be on it. Guess we'll do that. And let's leave up this guy, because it's Purdy. Again, so I'm here, guys, just giving my voice a break. We did some intense analysis. If you've been here, you kind of know what we're looking for, and we'll take it from there. Let some things develop. Any questions or you want to look at anything, you could type in the chat. What's up? What's up? I'll probably end the stream soon. Looks like activity's dying a bit on the attendance since I stopped talking. Take a break, come back for London Open. I'll be on the computer. I don't know if I'll stream, but maybe I will. For the London Openers. What do we have for news today? So we got past the rate statement, Japan, and unchanged, and we already talked about some of the analysis. Oh, by the way, the live stream will be available to watch after. So if you weren't here from the beginning, I suggest watching it from the beginning if you're looking to learn, see what you missed. We did talk about the what it means on the charts, getting past this release going forward. Just looking at today, what do we have? It's my New York time zone. Pretty light news day. Pound news today is only listed as medium impact. Obviously, with the yen behind us, that's going to be driving things for now, until there's any major news for the yen and what happened off of that rate statement. But nothing big today. It's a light news day. Medium impact Euro news. Even New York has no high impact news. No Richmond manufacturing. So nothing big. Okay, tomorrow's a big pound news. The pound's very bullish, but we'll see what happens off of that news. It could hit a top in weakness if it's, just speculating here. If it's positive result, it could move up, and that rush to get in high on the pound could be just the opportunity for all the buyers to unload, and it could actually create a top on good news. For example, it could pull back and hit accumulation, and then when the news comes out, it moves up. So there's just a correlation between the storyline on the chart and the timing of this as being something to get it going. And New York tomorrow, crude oil inventories, they shouldn't list it as high impact because it really doesn't seem to do that much. Light news day, light news week. What's today's date? Again, with the cryptocurrencies, it's not so much that I'm looking at this. It's more about news in that world. And I think in the future, those really great up days that we're acquiring our cheap Bitcoin for over time is getting good positions in there is going to pay off when in real life, aside from this tired old news with the old fiat system that's about to be replaced in our lifetime, we want to be seeing actual news of large demand for Bitcoin because of whatever XYZ reason. And the whole blockchain thing being applied to this now and being applied to that. And those would be the days that, we're going to shoot up on Bitcoin likely. If I know what I'm talking about, then it's going to be that. Maybe I don't. But that's just supply and demand. And if there's going to be large demand, if there's even the belief that there's going to be large demand, you're going to have it. You're going to have those really nice up days. I'm holding out for that. Again, I think 40,000 is nothing for Bitcoin in 2018. Nothing. It's inevitable unless something changes. Say it like that. Unless there's an outside force of some unforeseen force, it's going to 40,000 in 2018. 60,000. That's what I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Plan for anything. U.S. advanced GDP. All right. It's a good normal light news week in the Forex world. No impending large things to look out for. good, healthy stuff. Anyone know anything about the Accenture blockchain project? I never heard of that. No. I'm no technical wizard on that side of it. You know, there's a point where what I know definitely ends. I've never heard of that. I understand the basic point of blockchain, the decentralization of things, and it sounds like the way of the future to me. It's about time. Will the VOD of his live? Oh yes, right. It should be available right after I'm done. As far as I know, yeah. If I have to do something to make that happen, I'll do that. So I'm going to make it available right away. Yep. Because I talked for a while here, and if you want to pick up information, just get some popcorn. Check it out from the beginning. Anyone buying pump and dump coin? Oh, is that a new one? Who invented that? Did you invent it? Well, if you buy in the dump, then sure, count me in. Buy the dump, sell the pump. Buy the dump, sell the pump. Can I trademark that right now? I think we're all getting educated. I think people know this stuff now. It's not like it used to be. Panic selling. It's a buy opportunity. People are getting with it. Again, those that are bought 10, 9 area now, considering that a low price, are going to do well at some point. If it dips again, there'll be more buying. And down the line, when they sell it off at 13, 15, 60, 20, whoever they're selling it off to will likely do just fine in the future too. Unless they're chasing rallies and selling dips. But I won't be selling all of it to them. Holding for $1 million. It's 15 minutes. So, yeah, at the moment we saw some demand and lower prices. Some high volume with no outcome. And we know the storyline. We just need a little movement out of this range. Some new prices. If we move up here, we can see weakness or not. Very important which one happens. If we move down, we can see demand or not, particularly at the key levels we talked about. From there, decisions can be made. Buy the dump, sell the pump. Nobody's buying, or they would have bought. I think lower prices are going to tell us if buyers are interested or not. Lower prices bring demand. Hi, P, do you find crypto setups to be the same as Forex? Much of it is the same. The whole concept of trading properly and understanding what's going on in the charts, why supply and demand, and why price is moving, and what the big money is doing and not doing and looking for, and the patterns of high vol. If you know my material, I'm not sure how much you do, but all the patterns, including the volume, and the support resistance, and the fake breakouts, and all the things that I use, and the high volume signs of strength, and low volume test. Yes, 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 yes. Mr. Anthony. The differences are minimal, and it has to do with the actual differences, between the two. You can also use the order book, seeing there's a little more information in that regard. But as far as what I teach, again, it's not particular to Forex. It's just how markets work and getting factual information from a chart and following the storyline, and then almost pretty much coming to obvious conclusions about how to trade. So that applies to everything. Apply to the housing market, anything that goes up and down based on supply and demand. It's all the same. So supply and demand is the principle behind how every market works. Is this correct? Yep. That's why prices change. If I go back to, like, I started off trading just like everybody else, which, again, now people are a little more educated, but back in the day, everybody was just oscillators and moving average crossovers and crap. And I was losing like everybody else, or the 90%, whatever. And I said, I have to find out what's going on here. I want to know why price is moving, what's going on. And, like, now there's a lot more material to learn this stuff, so it's much easier now. But prices change because of that. Lower prices attract buyers, higher prices attract sellers. And you can tell if they're showing up or not based on the activity. You can see where accumulation of large amounts has gone on. You can tell if they're still in those positions. But every single market, again, if the price of milk goes down, if you have a sale on milk at your store, the activity in buying is going to increase. If 50% off milk today, you put a big sign outside, the buyers will be attracted, right? And the activity, your sales activity, your transaction activity would increase, and it would happen at a lower price. And you could actually lower your price first 10%, see if any buyers show up. You lower it, right? This is markets, anything, milk. Lower 30%, you may get a little buyers. Maybe you hit 50%, and you're attracting high volume demand. It stops the progress of you lowering your price. You don't need to lower the price. Buyers and sellers are making their exchange in high volume. And that's what tells you, okay, demand is being attracted. Now, in real life, you're not going to buy the milk in order to sell it for a profit. That's a little different. But in trading, you buy it in order to sell for a profit. So when there's an imbalance and demand is being attracted to that extent, eventually the selling dries up or it goes lower and there's more demand or whatever. But a typical storyline is that the prices then move up at an imbalance of demand and supply. So, I mean, if your milk is on sale for 50% and you're attracting, you can start to increase the price. But anyway, that's where the analogy ends, I suppose, because you're not going to sell the milk for a profit. You're just going to drink it and say, cheap milk tastes better than full-priced milk. Every market. Again, to the extent, before I even get to all these other questions, comments, the extent that you can apply what I do on a chart to anything else. If you want to sell your house, you lower the price, and there's no demand at the price area. You start high, right? Because you're a seller, so you want to start high. And if there's no activity, there's demand coming in, what would you do? You lower your price. So you could actually look at the interest or the response. I don't know. I'm being very general. But if you look at the interest, response, the phone calls, whatever, you're going to be lowering the price until activity starts to increase. Then you will stop lowering your price, right? And you look to make the exchange or whatever. And so, again, it's everything. Buy low, sell high, and all that. Seems like where am I? But yeah, I really wanted to answer that question because it's so true and to such a very extreme extent. Been interesting to see how the price dumped into CBOE future expiry last week. Price was dumping again this week. Low volume hits on the CME futures, so price down is about follow. Yeah, we're getting some moves. Seems like spot market does not understand. It does not need to follow the future because of the future is cash settle. I don't even look at futures charts. I know you get real volume off of that, but it's not the entire spot market. It's not the entire exchange, so it's limited. I like tick activity and all that. 20 Bitcoin contracts traded on CBOE today. Bitcoin, not Bitcoin. Oh, Bitcoin contracts. Yeah, I mean, you look at the amount of money per day. This is not a fad here. The demand is going to increase, and it's going to be insane. Appreciate it. How about the volatility and market timing compared to Forex? Volatility is a little more steady. Forex, you could have periods that are very slow, and then news comes out, like interest rates or something, and you spike around like crazy. I mean, there are days that are much more volatile than other days, but it's definitely feels more steady. It's a little more friendly and steady. Spot Bitcoin. I don't think it's real, just for retail play. Yeah. I had this up here as an example. We were saying this before, but the idea of having a broker, like a Forex broker style, to trade Bitcoin is complete. It's like buying a car and then walking to work. Like, it makes no sense. And the volume and the price feeds, it's just not adding up. They're not giving you. This is some sort of index. I don't know what the hell. Some smooth crap. So yeah, you trade the real thing in the real market. That's the point. Not with a bucket shop Bitcoin. Makes no sense. Don't do that. Did I skip? Oh no, okay. But the whole session basically, we're here, the whole stream. But again, we saw some demand come in here, some mix of buying and selling. Now we're seeing at least slightly higher prices in the recent range. And, see what they're bringing. Yeah, some supply is likely going to come in. Nothing exciting at the moment. But again, once we get some new levels out of this chop, we'll get some answers. And I, talked about the plan already. All right, I guess I'll end the live stream. My voice is really drying up. Talk myself to death. So yeah, I'm going to have this available on YouTube if you want to watch from before you got here or watch it again. And I'll be on tomorrow night, 10 p.m., give or take, 10 p.m. New York time, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I will be back. And if you guys want to be informed about, before I start streaming, I will email. So you can put your email in here. MyFXSource.com. That's the homepage. And you'll be notified right before I start the stream. Or as I'm starting it. All right, guys. Thanks for attending and hanging out. And maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good one.